There's just about 4 months left in Overwatch League 2023, and through one tournament and a round of qualifiers, we have learned quite a bit. We generally know who's the best and who's most deserving of certain awards, so let's dive into the current award frontrunners of 2023. In this video, I'll cover all the standard awards given by the league, as well as a few made up by myself just for fun, including a brand new one that I just added into the pool. Let's get down to business, and starting things off will be the MVP. Thanks to the Midseason madness, this award is definitely closer than the people think. There's a handful of guys who certainly have a case for themselves. As for me, I'm rocking with my guy Lip. Maybe there's some room for debate here since other members of his team stepped up even bigger arguably during the midseason madness, but I believe that in general, Lip's Sombra play is the thing that has elevated Atlanta to practically unbeatable status. The best Sombra teams are the ones dominating the league, and Atlanta sit on top of the throne with no blemish to their record. Lip's way better than like everybody else statistically, and what he's doing when you watch him in-game. A lot of teams think that it's genuinely a waste of time to even bother mirroring Atlanta because they are so much better. If you have that kind of effect on a team's mentality, it goes without saying that you're on a different level. His ability to play intelligently and farm those EMPs like it's nobody's business makes him the best player on the most meta-defining hero. Lip and company have everybody following their lead with all these different Sombra comps, and when you have such a commanding presence, I think you make a very good case for most valuable player. Although, like I was saying, the gap isn't anything that's insurmountable, and some people may not even think there is one at all. Stalker's definitely the best tracer in the game right now, and he's had some of the most clutch performances of the year. And you can't rule out Chio, Fielder, or Shu either, as support play has been arguably the most important aspect of success this year, and these three have dominated in ways that are damn near untouchable. If you want to say there's people ahead of Lip, I think that's perfectly fair, but where you can't really make any sort of argument right now is Rookie of the Year. Thanks to his Winston performances in the midseason madness, it just has to be Donghack. There's not many rookies in the league right now in general, and not many of them are anywhere near relevant, so Donghack kind of takes this one pretty easily. Donghack, as a relatively unknown prospect, came to the Atlanta Reign with all the pressure in the world to perform, and he has done so brilliantly. The Reign were looking for Donghack to not be a letdown on a full-blown superstar cast like this, so they could be the most dominant team in the league, and up until this point, he has definitely delivered. Granted, it's mostly just been on Winston, but that's what teams play most of the time anyway. Donghack deserves a lot of credit for doing what's asked of him and going above and beyond with some pretty successful dives and primal clutches. When you come in as a rookie and you can be an equal with Fearless and Smurf, you automatically win. No other rookie campaign really compares to this. I understand that maybe some rookies have done well with less, but I don't know if there's any other rookie currently in the league who you'd even consider to be a star level player. Maybe Sugar Free, Bliss, or Viper, they're pretty good runner-ups, but comparatively speaking, Donghack has been the best rookie overall. With that out of the way, let's talk role stars. I was just mentioning Donghack before, so let's run through my tank selections. Right now, I'd say that the tank frontrunners are Fearless, Donghack, Someone, and Mag. Honestly, tank is kind of slim pickings compared to last year. It's not very obvious, and the impact and flexibility is just not nearly as important. But to me, I would say that these four have been some of the most memorable at least. Fearless in a primarily Winston-centric meta is obviously really good. I mean, even after 6 years, absolutely nothing has changed with this guy. He's still arguably the best monkey player in the world, and I'd say for a dive meta, that kind of makes him a shoo-in right now for role star. Fearless has done his job. Maybe not to the same extent as like the Dallas or even Shanghai days, but still dominant enough to feel his presence, especially in the clutch with those primals. And I could say much of the same for Donghack. I was just praising him a lot earlier, and this stands true even when we compare him to the rest of the league, not just rookies. He plays some of the smartest Winston at his position, and he is a league leader in most metrics, as you can see. He stood toe-to-toe with the best Winstons in the game, and is one of the most reliable starters as a rookie. He's not exactly doing anything out of this world, but given the bar right now, I'd say that he makes the cut. Looking at Someone and Mag, I kind of view them both in the same exact light. They're arguably the two most stable tank players in the game right now, as they're leaders on Winston like the other two, but also they've proven to be pretty versatile tanks, arguably the most versatile in the entire league based off of their big hero pools. As solo tanks, this is not a very easy job, but they still manage to lead the way in metrics for both Winston and Ramattra, aka the two most relevant tanks in the game. They're consistently solid as two of the most notable playmakers at their positions who always seem to come alive in those map 5s. In a lot of the most defining matches of their team's respective seasons, they have been there. They have had a pretty notable presence. They're more than just a body that's there to play Winston and watch in the background. They are there to make a difference, and that's something that clearly they have over most, if not all other tank players in the Overwatch League. I could maybe see people picking like Hanbin, Gushue, or even Smurf as well, because tank isn't exactly a super clear picture, but that's who I'm going with for right now. Let's see what happens as we have plenty of season left to go. Moving into the supports, I've got to go with the very unoriginal answer of Fielder, Chio, Shu, and Violet. Look, I really wanted to put an APAC player in here, or generally just have more than 2 teams, but I cannot get myself to do it. Houston and Atlanta are the best teams in this league by far, and their backlines have basically been the main driving force. Support has gone from the least valuable role 1 year ago to the most. And these 4 have stood at the top with their performances that put them head and shoulders above the rest of the league. They're practically unbeatable in their current state. Violet and Shu are both top fraggers, and they make such a difference in that playmaking department. It makes the Outlaws so loaded that basically anybody can be the reason you lose, and there aren't many other rosters out there that can say that. And with Atlanta Reign, Chio and Fielder are both arguably number 1 at their respective positions. They rarely make any mistakes. Chio's peel and above average clutch factor makes him head and shoulders the best main support in the game. And Fielder just might be the most well-rounded player in the league, period. He is the perfect blend of what it looks like to be a dangerous playmaker that is team first, but also not greedy in the slightest. This guy literally finds value with Ana playing all the way from Kingdom Come. The positioning and the cooldown connections are so insanely precise that I'm convinced this guy's brain is on a different plane of existence. Houston and Atlanta supports are just so much better. I don't make the rules, that's just simply what my eyes tell me. Although, if you really think this is boring and very unfair, Twilight and Skewed are also very good shouts. I would not complain to see either of those guys in the ballot. Their impact has also been disgustingly good. They deserve a lot of credit in my opinion, just not to the same level of success as Atlanta or Houston. Moving on to our final category, the DPS line, I had a bit of a cop-out. I'm going with Lip, Stalker, Decay, and an incomplete for DPS number 4. I thought about this a ton over the last couple of days and came to the realization that I really don't have a 4th definitive guy. I thought about it over and over and over, and it just felt too difficult for me to pick somebody. To give you an idea of where my head's at though, here's some honorable mentions. Checkmate, Merit, Choice A1, Leave, Kevster, Alpha Yi, Happy, Pelican, Zest, and MN3. I like a lot of those guys a ton, but I just can't pick one of them right now until I see a bit more in the second half of this season. As for my definitive selections, Lip is self-explanatory. Best Sombra in the game, MVP frontrunner, and arguably the best player in the world. That's all you really need to know on that front. For Stalker, I'd say, again, another MVP frontrunner, arguably the league's most dominant tracer, and quite possibly the best damage player in the game. Every single game, this guy puts other tracer players in their place. Nobody can keep up with him. And the cherry on top is that ridiculous level that we saw him output in the mid-season madness. That was all you needed to see to realize that this guy is a bona fide superstar. He actually played out of his mind and was integral to making that run possible. And if it weren't for him, Atlanta Reign just might lose that first match to Houston, and who knows what could happen after that. Just the fact that he stands out so much on a team where he's sharing the spotlight with Lip and all these other amazing players is indicative to the kind of impact he has had on the game. He is a DPS role star for sure, and I don't think there's any argument against him. My third definitive DPS is where things maybe get a bit more interesting though. Decay and Boston sometimes have slipped under the radar, and, sometimes for good reason, but I'd say that Decay has consistently stood out as one of the top tracers in the game, no matter Boston's consistency. It has been a really great season for him, and arguably the best one we have seen from him since 2020. He's honestly carried the Boston Uprising a lot this year, and genuinely he has been the integral member of their game plan. From what we've seen, they can only go as far as he can take them, and when he's feeling it, that level happens to be pretty high. He's one of only 3 DPS in the league right now with multiple Fleta deadlifts, and if you didn't know, a Fleta deadlift is when you get 50% or more of your team's final blows in a single map. He's currently sitting at the 3rd most final blows in the league in total, 4th most eliminations, and 5th best final blow to death ratio. Decay is one of the most dominant and consistent DPS in the game, and Boston would not be in the position they're in right now if it weren't for him. I understand that there have been games where he's been diffed and all, but that also applies to most DPS players in the league outside of Atlanta's, so I personally give him a pass. To get a few less meaningful awards out of the way now, there's a Coach of the Year and Dennis Hawelka award to give out, and I'd say that right now, given Reign's dominance, Coach of the Year probably goes the way of Gator. 11-0 with 5 drop maps in total is pretty ridiculous, and only one other team in the league currently stands a chance. Gator himself has said he thinks coaching is overrated though, and maybe you personally think it's unfair to give it to somebody who might not deserve a lot of the credit, which I think is fair, and in that case I'd probably give it to Get Amazed from the Washington Justice instead, since they have definitely been above average and have been exceeding expectations, but I feel like you gotta give it to Gator just cause Reign are having a historic level of great season. Looking into the Dennis Hawelka Award, which goes to outstanding individuals in the league who have a very positive impact both on the organization, their team, and the community, I'd say that someone is a pretty solid choice. He's always very enthusiastic about the game, and his teammates, and interacting with the fans, and he even loves to go up on stage and dance and get everybody in a good mood. It's all smiles with that guy all the time. He's the king of positive vibes, especially on LAN, and I think that he deserves this award. I've been gunning for this guy to win it for like a year and a half now, and damn it, I will not rest until justice is served. That's basically it for the awards given out by the league though, so let's do a check-in on the ATP awards. Award 1 is the most improved player. I've dabbled back and forth between Mag and Flora for a long time now, but just given his status as a top tank player in the game, I definitely lean towards Mag. Mag's in heavy contention for 2 different reasons actually. 1, people thought he was an absolute bust for not living up to his big potential on Washington. But 2, people questioned if he was even flexible enough to solo tank. This dude had to beat washed and flexibility allegations at the same time, and he has done it with flying colors. If anything, he's playing the best he ever has. He's easily been one of the most flexible, clutch, and stable tanks in the league. Dude has played a little bit of everything so far, and he's done it all very well, all while being a huge playmaker. He's most improved for becoming one of the league's best tanks, which he was nowhere near in the past, and for improving his hero pool so much in such a short amount of time. To continue on the trend of most improved, we look towards the most improved team compared to last year, and this one's pretty simple. I think if you compare to what happened in 2022, the Reign just take this without a doubt, as they've taken such a big leap, going from slightly above average to potentially one of the all-time greats. They won a tournament already, which is something they didn't even come close to last year, and they've already almost matched their season win total from last year, despite playing 1/3 of the matches. Most of their players are top tier at their position, and the fact that they're now so obviously the best team is just such a big turnaround. I'd also say though you could make an honorable mention for like Vancouver, Florida, and Boston, but just not quite to the level of Atlanta. Next is the Wildcard Award, the biggest surprise of the year. As I always say with this award, you have complete creative freedom. This could be for a good reason, or a bad one. It can be a player, or a team. It is entirely up to you. As for me, I'm holding strong on the Shock being the frontrunner for a very bad reason. A team with very high expectations coming into 2023 have been extremely mediocre and unappealing to watch. For a team with Proper and his former O2 Blast teammates, that is pretty, well, shocking. This is last year's Grand Finals runner-up that we're talking about. A team with the reigning MVP, And what do they have to show for it right now? A 3-5 record where they've only beaten mid to low level rosters in a second round tournament exit. The best team that they have beaten this year is Vancouver. That is all you really need to know. They are nowhere near the level of the good teams, and that is very disappointing. For a team with this much talent, you simply expect more, and I'll leave it at that as we move on to my final award of the video, a brand new one that I'm just now unveiling, one brought up to me by some of my viewers actually. It is the 6th man of the year. Similar to the NBA, it is the most impactful rotation player that comes off the bench. When I think of notable bench players, there comes a conversation that makes this decision a little difficult. If we're going purely off of level of success and the numbers, you'd probably argue Hawk. He's one of the best tanks in the game and recently has been coming off the bench. However, in comparison to Donghak's playtime, it's honestly a lot closer than you might think. I don't know if the difference is big enough to seriously constitute Hawk as a bench player. There's been plenty of moments where Hawk has started over Donghak this year, so I'm actually going to forgo him until that differential becomes a bit bigger, and instead I'm going to pick Shockwave. Maybe it's a little weird to be picking an alexyOWL player, but Shockwave is a guy that consistently finds value off the bench after getting subbed in after the first map. His Hanzo has gone especially hard this year, and he usually becomes the primary playmaking option when Fitz moves over to support. On the 17 map wins between qualifiers and knockouts, Shockwave's contributed 8 of them, and that's pretty good for a guy with noticeably less playtime than every other true active member of the roster. He's a very solid spark plug, as his Hanzo, Sombra, and Ashe have come in clutch in probably New York's 2 biggest wins of the season. When New York have had any sort of chance to do something big, this guy usually doesn't let the opportunity go to waste. He makes the most of his minutes, which I'd like to think gives him an edge over some of the other 6-man candidates like Kai, Izayaki, or Babel. Again, the only person I would take over him, if you count him, is Hawk, but that largely depends, because I for one don't really think he counts, since he has started a lot this season, and probably needs to come off the bench a bit more before he's qualified as a 6th man. For now though, that's where we're gonna leave it. It's not like these awards are set in stone, this is just what I'd pick if the season ended today. So that's kind of where my head's at in the 2023 award race. Let me know your thoughts on who your award frontrunners are down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and you want more Overwatch League content just like this, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I've been ATP, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.